My wife said she only married me to prove to her ex she could settle down first. I laughed, thinking she was joking. Then I found the emails and the bet. Now she's telling people I emotionally abandoned her. I honestly don't know if this is a story or a giant therapy session in disguise. But whatever. I need to say it out loud or type it out loud, whatever. Maybe then I'll sleep for more than 3 hours without dreaming about that stupid email subject line. Told you I'd win. So yeah, I'm 36, ex-husband now, apparently. Been married almost 6 years. Not the fairy tale kind, but not total trash either. Or so I thought. No kids. 2 cats. One very judgmental neighbor who keeps pretending she didn't hear the screaming match that ended it all. Shout out to Susan, queen of passive-aggressive lawn comments. I work in logistics. Boring job. Stable life. I'm not the guy who writes drama posts. I'm the guy who silently judges drama posts while reheating leftovers in his air fryer. But lately, I've been unraveling like a cheap hoodie from a gas station rack. Because apparently the woman I built my life around, the woman I bought allergy meds for because she refused to admit cats made her sneeze, married me to prove a point to her ex. A bet. I was the emotional equivalent of a pawn in her breakup Olympics. And the worst part? She didn't even try to hide it. Not really. If you think this sounds made up, trust me. I wish it was. Let's rewind. We met at a wedding. Not ours, obviously, someone else's. She was sitting alone at a table near the dance floor, drinking something that looked like melted gummy bears and texting so fast I thought her phone might combust. I said something dumb like, having fun. And she looked up, blinked twice and said, not really, but at least I don't know the bride. Which, looking back, should have been my first red flag, but I was a guy with 2 drinks in and 0 game. She laughed at my jokes. I told myself that meant something. She asked me out 3 days later, which should have also tipped me off. Because women that gorgeous usually don't chase guys who quote The Office unironically and still wear college hoodies with holes in them. But I was flattered. And flattery, as I've learned, is like duct tape for your self-worth. It holds until the rain hits. We moved fast. Too fast. She moved in 6 months after we met. Said her lease was up, and she didn't want to renew just for a few months. I thought it meant we were serious. She thought it meant cheaper rent and someone to kill spiders. I didn't see the cracks, or maybe I did and just painted over them with being a good husband energy. She said all the right things. You're my safe place. I love how boring you are. You make everything easier. Yeah, that last one hurt in retrospect. She didn't like cuddling. Said it made her overheat. She flinched when I touched her back in public. Said she was just ticklish. She stopped wearing her ring around year 2. Claimed it irritated her skin. Then started posting solo pics with captions like, finding myself again dizzy. While I was literally cooking dinner downstairs. And still I stayed. Because I thought I was helping her heal. Because I thought she needed time. Because I thought marriage meant riding out the dips. Then I found the emails. They weren't even hidden. Just in a folder marked receipts. Like she wanted them discovered eventually. One thread caught my eye. It was between her and her ex. It started a year before we got married. Subject line. Bet you I'll settle before you do. And there it was. Page after page of casual cruelty. Her telling him I was emotionally vanilla. That I was safe. That she could do this in her sleep. That I'd never question her because I was too desperate to be loved. I swear I just sat there, rereading the same line. He's like warm milk. Boring but dependable. That's what she called me. Warm milk. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't yell. I just sat in that kitchen with the buzzing light and the half-eaten sandwich, and I thought, this is it. This is the moment my brain breaks in half. She came home, saw the screen, and, I kid you not, shrugged, like she'd just left a grocery list open. Then said, I didn't think you'd care. You never cared before. And I just stood there, like, what? What do you even say to that? She wasn't sorry. She didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, well, now you know. Yeah, now I know. And you know what she told people afterward? That I emotionally abandoned her. That I was cold, unavailable, not present enough. She flipped the script so fast you'd think she was trying out for reality TV. Now her friends think I'm the villain. Now her mom won't return my texts. Now my own cat won't sleep on my side of the bed. I didn't fight it. I packed a bag, booked a week at a terrible Airbnb, and left the key on the counter. No dramatic monologue. No revenge. Just distance and silence. But not because I didn't have things to say. Because none of it would have mattered. She never liked me. Not even a little. I know this sounds pathetic, but for the longest time I genuinely thought we were happy. Not movie happy, but real life happy. Bills paid, inside jokes, Netflix routines, the occasional argument about whose turn it was to do laundry. I thought that was enough. I thought I was enough. We'd go out and people would compliment us. You guys are so cute together. Your relationship goals? That kind of crap. I'd smile, she'd laugh, and I'd feel that warm little buzz in my chest like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely screwing this up. And I clung to that, hard. I ignored a lot of little signs. Stuff like her flinching when I tried to hug her from behind. Or how her voice changed when she talked to her friends, light, animated, alive, and then how flat it would get when she turned back to me. I wrote it off as stress. Work stuff. Hormones. Whatever. I'd gaslight myself better than she ever had to. Because the idea that she might not actually like me, that she might be faking it, that she might be comparing me to someone else in her head every single day, that wasn't just painful. It was humiliating. So I kept my head down. I planned anniversaries. I bought flowers. I laughed at her dad's awful jokes. I went to Pilates once. I said, "I'm lucky to have you," even when her silence made my skin crawl. And she let me. Because as it turns out, letting me believe I was loved was more convenient than admitting she'd never felt it at all. I met her when I was 26 and still thought chemistry was a reliable compass for a healthy relationship. It was at my friend's engagement party. Classic rented hall, overcooked appetizers, a DJ who played Pitbull like it was a sacred ritual. She walked in with this presence like she was allergic to the word subtle. Bright green dress, high heels she didn't even flinch in, and this looked like she was scanning the room not for fun, but for data. Everyone noticed her, obviously, but when she walked right up to me and asked what I was drinking, it felt like I'd won some cosmic lottery. She laughed at my dumb joke about dad beer, and I swear, for a solid 5 minutes I forgot that I had bills, bad skin, and a job where my boss called me champ, like he was legally required to emasculate me twice a day. We hit it off fast. Texts turned into calls, turned into sleepovers. I learned she hated tomatoes, cried during commercials, and snored like a tiny pug. She said I made her feel safe, and I took that as the highest compliment. I didn't realize safe sometimes just means non-threatening enough to manipulate. She moved in after 8 months. At the time, I told myself it was because we were soulmates. Looking back, it's because I had steady income, clean credit, and I didn't ask questions. The wedding came a year and a half later. Small, tasteful, more of a photo op than a celebration. She cried during the vows, but I don't remember her looking at me while she said them. I figured nerves, camera pressure, whatever. The early days of marriage were odd. She didn't complain about anything. Not the one-bedroom apartment with paper-thin walls. Not my weird hours or my insomnia or the fact that I always forgot to buy almond milk. She just existed. Polite smiles, neutral tone, eyes always elsewhere. And instead of reading that for what it was, disinterest, I took it as compatibility. Like, wow, finally someone low drama who gets me. Yeah. She got me. All right. The affection was performative. She'd kiss me when friends were around, stroke my arm when we were out in public, make jokes about being lucky when people complimented us. But in private, if I reached for her hand, she'd shift in her seat. If I tried to cuddle, she'd suddenly need to check something on her phone. Always her phone. Always face down. And every time I brought it up, she had some perfectly chilled excuse. Just tired. It's nothing. You're being weird. It got to the point where I couldn't tell if we were still in a relationship or just roommates with a joint Netflix account. One night, I cooked dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta and garlic bread. But I tried. I even lit candles like a sitcom dad trying to save his marriage. She walked in, glanced at the table and said, "Oh, I thought we were just ordering in." Not rude, just cold, unimpressed. Like I'd brought her a cardboard box and called it a gift. I laughed, tried to salvage the mood, made a dumb joke about becoming husband of the year. She smiled barely and scrolled her phone during the meal. That night, I laid awake next to her while she slept facing the wall, wondering how the hell I became the one trying to impress someone who barely tolerated me. Wondering why I felt like a guest in my own marriage. Wondering if maybe, just maybe, she didn't love me at all. And the wildest part? That wasn't even close to the worst of it. I didn't just find out and sleep on the couch once and call it a day. No, that email thread lived rent-free in my head. Like, every time she laughed at a meme or complimented my cooking, my brain would go, "Was that for real? Or just another lab result for your science project, madam?" I stopped seeing my wife. I started seeing an actress. And honestly, it was giving Oscar-worthy performance with a side of gaslight. And I get it, maybe I should have confronted her right then. Slammed the laptop shut and gone full "what the hell is this" mode. But dude, I was embarrassed. Like, humiliated on a cosmic level. I didn't even know who I was married to anymore. I wasn't mad at her. I was mad at me. For falling for it. For being so easy to play. For thinking she wanted a future when I was apparently just her calm phase before the next storm. And yeah, I started spiraling. Like, checking my own texts to see if I was boring. Rereading our messages like, wow, she really replied LOL to this? Should have known. I went full Reddit mode, scrolling threads like signs your marriage is fake at 2 a.m. while eating dry cereal out of the box. Meanwhile, she acted normal. Too normal. Like we didn't have a Cold War silently raging through the apartment. She'd ask if I wanted to watch something. Offer to make dinner. I'd say sure and then sit there wondering if she was calculating how long she needed to keep up the act before bailing with a decent story. Because yeah, I tried, but he checked out emotionally card? That's what she was setting up. She started crying during random conversations. Not big messy tears. Just one perfectly timed drop while saying things like, I just don't feel seen anymore. Real subtle stuff. Stuff that makes people go, wow, she's trying and he's cold. Classic reputation pre-work. I was living with someone who was already curating the breakup narrative for social media and the group chat while I was just trying not to fall apart in the frozen food aisle of Target. You ever live with someone who's emotionally editing your life in real time? It's like being the villain in a story you didn't even know had a plot twist. Like, every time we argued, even about dumb stuff like laundry, I'd catch her staring off, almost rehearsing what she was going to say later to her friends. Yeah, he snapped about towels again. I think he's really unstable. And the wildest part? I still tried to fix it. Yep. I booked us therapy. Paid for it myself. Showed up with notes. She didn't show. Twice. Then said, I think you should keep going solo, you clearly have a lot to process. Girl, the only thing I need to process is that I married someone who bet a relationship for clout. So I did. I kept going. For me. And that's when I found out what she was telling people. Friends. Coworkers. Her mom. That I was emotionally distant, weirdly obsessed with tracking her phone, paranoid and controlling. That she tried so hard and gave everything, but I was too broken to love her back. And I just sat there, reading those texts because yeah, I got screenshots, shout out to her one decent friend who couldn't stomach the lies, and I realized I was already gone. Emotionally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it, gone. But the paperwork hadn't started yet. And when I told her I was filing, she laughed. Full F. No hesitation. And that messed me up worse than the email. She laughed like I just told her I bought the wrong brand of almond milk. Like I was the one overreacting. Like ending a whole-ass marriage was just a Tuesday inconvenience. I remember standing there with the papers, actual divorce papers, not some threat, not a bluff, not a dramatic, we need to talk moment. No, real documents I'd printed at work during my lunch break because I didn't want to use our printer at home. Not because I was hiding, but because I knew, deep down, she'd find some way to twist even that. That's how low-key paranoid I'd gotten. That's how far gone we were. She looked at them, then at me, and chuckled. Not nervous laughter. Not I'm about to lose my husband panic. Just that smug, empty amusement like I was the setup to a joke she'd already heard before. No, please don't, no, let's talk this through, not even a token sad face. She didn't flinch. Not once. And for a second, I honestly thought, maybe I'm dreaming? Maybe this is some warped fever hallucination and I'll wake up and she'll be, I don't know, brushing her teeth and asking what I want for dinner. But nope. She just smirked. That same cold, mechanical expression I'd seen when I caught her reading that email from her ex, the one where they literally joked about me being her domestication project. And then she said it. The line that broke whatever was still functioning in my brain. You're really gonna let me be the victim here, huh? Like it was strategy. Not a relationship. Not a human connection. A strategy. A game of narrative control. I wasn't even mad in that moment, I was just hollow. Like my personality packed up and pieced out. I think I nodded. Maybe. I just remember blinking a lot. Like my eyes were buffering, trying to load an emotion that wasn't complete shutdown. And then, right on cue, she took it public. That weekend, literally 2 days after I handed her the papers, she posted this moody, grayscale selfie with her hood up and some sad acoustic lyric in the caption like, healing isn't linear. Full filter, soft lighting, fake puffy eyes like she cried for 30 seconds before snapping the photo. And I sat there, folding shirts in the guest room, trying to figure out which ones she hadn't made fun of in group chats with her friends. That's where I was emotionally divorced and physically clinging to socks. The texts started rolling in. Not from her. From mutuals. From her coworkers I barely knew. Hey man, heard what happened. You holding up? Just wanted to say, I know breakups are hard. And my favorite, you always seemed kinda distant, but I guess you had your reasons. Like she'd printed out a script and handed it to everyone who ever liked a post of ours. Like I was suddenly the emotionally unavailable husband who just checked out one day and not the guy who literally spent 6 months trying to get her to go to therapy with me while she said that's what journaling is for. So I asked her calmly like an idiot why she would tell people I abandoned her emotionally. Why she'd create this narrative where she was the victim and I was just some quiet, disconnected guy who forgot her birthday and ghosted her from inside the house. She shrugged. I wish I was exaggerating. She actually shrugged. And then she hit me with, it's just easier this way. People like a good guy gone cold story. It makes them feel safe. Like, what? What kind of Marvel villain logic is that? I should have walked out the second she said it. Instead, I stood there like some sitcom dad who accidentally burnt dinner and now has to apologize to the laugh track. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just sat in it. Let it rot. Eventually, I did leave. Took my Spotify account, my air fryer, the Bluetooth speaker she said made me look tech bro adjacent, and the Star Wars mug she used to pretend she found low-key cute. I blocked her on everything but email because apparently ghosting your ex completely isn't emotionally mature, whatever that means. Weeks went by. I was starting to feel human again. Until she sent one last message. Just one. No apology. No insight. No accountability. Just, hope you don't hate me. I needed to win something. That was the moment it finally clicked. I wasn't her partner. I was her scoreboard. Her project. Her performance prop. The guy she could shape, break, and then use as proof she was deep for surviving. And yeah, that messed me up more than I thought it would. I think what hit hardest wasn't even the manipulation. It was the fact that I believed the whole time that we were building something real. Like I genuinely thought we were that couple who fights over where to eat, not whether the relationship was a literal stunt. All those nights I stayed up Googling anniversary ideas, or those Saturdays I dragged myself to brunch with her friends so she wouldn't feel unsupported. Turns out I was auditioning. For what? No clue. Reality TV? Narcissist Olympics? She'd introduce me to people like I was her rescue project. Oh, he's just a little closed off, but he's learning. And I'd smile through it like an idiot, like, yeah, thanks for narrating my therapy arc in real time. I was so deep in denial, I started thinking maybe I was the problem. Maybe I really was emotionally cold. Maybe I did forget how to be present. But nah. What I forgot was how to notice when someone's treating you like background furniture instead of a human being. The weeks after I moved out were weird. Not sad exactly, more like disoriented. Like someone rewrote the timeline of your life and forgot to mention it. I'd wake up in my new place and instinctively check my phone for a "where are you?" text that never came. Because she didn't care. She wasn't worried. She was busy rebranding herself as that girl who got hurt. Her Instagram turned into a TED Talk for trauma bonding. Whole highlight reel of her doing yoga, journaling with aesthetic pens, trauma dumping into sunsets. She called it healing era. I called it performance art. Meanwhile, I was over here trying to relearn how to enjoy silence. How to eat dinner without expecting a sarcastic comment about the vibe of my plate. How to listen to music without wondering which songs she secretly hated. You know how insane it is to unlearn second-guessing every mundane thing you like? I started playing the same old indie playlist on loop just to test if I still liked it or if it was trauma-coded. People kept asking if I missed her. I didn't know what to say. I missed the idea of her. The fake version I fell in love with, the one who laughed at my dumb jokes, who said my cooking tasted like effort, who held my hand in the grocery store and made me believe love could look like something soft. That version? She never existed. And it's a hell of a thing to grieve someone who was never real. She texted once more. It wasn't even anything big. Just a link to an article about how men emotionally detach after breakups. No context. No, hope you're okay. Just a link. Like she was still trying to write the story and needed me to play the role of cold, silent ex one more time. I didn't even reply. Just watched the three little dots fade and disappear. That was the last time she tried. I thought that'd be the end. But a few months later, and I'm not even making this up, her ex messaged me. The original guy. The one she made the bet with. Apparently, they'd started talking again. He found my number through mutuals and said, "Hey man, I think she used me too." That's when I knew. She wasn't trying to hurt me. Not exclusively, anyway. She just didn't care who got wrecked in the crossfire. He sent me screenshots. Pages of texts. Her saying stuff like he was never emotionally available and I did all the heavy lifting in that relationship. She even told him I had intimacy issues from childhood, which cool, thanks for the unsolicited psychological profile, Dr. Gaslight. And he goes, "Did you really tell her you'd rather be single than settle?" I had to laugh. Like actual out loud, hands on my knees laugh. Because that line? That wasn't mine. That was hers. Word for word. I remembered the night she said it. We were sitting in bed, she was scrolling, and I was talking about a coworker who got married too fast. She shook her head and said, "I'd rather be alone forever than settle." But sure, let's rewrite that as my quote. Let's add that to the screenplay of cold, distant husband who never tried. I told him the truth. All of it. I didn't sugarcoat a thing. And you know what he said? Damn. That's exactly how she made me feel. It wasn't closure. Not even close. But it was the first time I felt seen by someone who wasn't part of my own broken narrative. And that did something. Not healing exactly, but unsticking. Like one less knot in my brain. 2 weeks later, I found out she was telling people I cheated. Not just hinted at it, full-on fabricated a coworker affair. The irony? I barely talked to anyone at work. I was the guy who microwaved pasta, ate at my desk, and left without saying goodbye. But she knew that wouldn't matter. She knew all she had to do was drop a vague accusation and let people fill in the blanks. It's wild how fast people pick sides when drama's involved. Friends we'd had over for dinner, people who texted me, "You're such a good dude," radio silence. One even unfollowed me after posting "believe women" on their story. I do, by the way. I do believe women. I just also believe patterns. And her pattern? Burn the bridge, blame the smoke on someone else. What really messed with me was realizing how long she'd been building this exit ramp. Like, none of this was spur of the moment. She'd planted seeds. Quietly. Casually. Months of little jabs. Stories. Subtweets. always setting the stage for the grand finale where she gets to fall apart publicly while I fade into villain silence. So yeah, I didn't reply to her last text. I didn't defend myself in the group chats. I didn't try to fix the version of me she projected to the world. Instead, I printed the emails, the bet, her exact words, and I sent them to a few people who mattered. Just facts. No commentary. No, look what she did. Just here's what happened. Do what you want with it. She blocked me on everything the next day, but not before updating her bio to Survivor. Empath. Reborn. And I just laughed. Again. Not out of cruelty. Out of disbelief. Because if she was the survivor, what the hell was I? A plot twist? The best part? A year later, she messaged me from a new number. Said her therapist encouraged her to make amends. Said she hoped I was at peace. And then she asked if I'd consider writing her a character reference for a job application. I didn't even reply. Just stared at the message. Took a screenshot. And smiled. Because the thing she never understood is that I don't need revenge. Silence is enough. Distance is enough. But if she wants a character reference? Here it is. She's the kind of person who can look you in the eye, lie through her teeth, and then ask you to vouch for her integrity. The thing is, I didn't even feel angry by then. Just tired. Like my nervous system had finally clocked out. I wasn't checking my phone every 10 seconds, wondering what version of the truth she was telling people now. I wasn't running postmortems in my head, trying to figure out the exact moment she stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as a prop. I was free. And it wasn't loud. It wasn't fireworks and champagne and look at me thriving. It was quiet. Boring even. Just me in a too small apartment with mismatched mugs, reheating soup and listening to podcasts about stuff I didn't even care about because I could. Because no one was judging me for it. No one was crafting a narrative around my every choice. But of course, freedom doesn't mean peace. Not right away. I still got the random messages. Hey, I heard your ex went through something heavy. Just checking in. Like I was supposed to apologize for not being the man in her highlight reel breakdown. One guy is someone I'd literally loaned money to during his divorce, asked if I ever felt bad for not trying harder. I didn't even respond. What was I gonna say? Sorry I didn't win the sad Olympics she was training for? Nah. I just muted the chat. The real win? Wasn't getting vindicated. Wasn't exposing her. Wasn't even proving to myself that I wasn't the cold, checked-out husband she sold to the group chat. It was realizing I didn't have to participate anymore. In the show. In the narrative. In the weird social currency of suffering as personality. She made grief her brand. Cool. She can have it. I made boundaries mine. And now? Now she's dating someone new. Or at least that's what her new Healing Era 2.0 posts suggest. Different guy. Same captions. Another safe space photo dump with latte art and a blurry mirror selfie. But a few nights ago, she emailed me. Subject line, can we talk? No body text. No context. No apology. I didn't open it. I just archived it. And sat back on my thrifted couch, drinking a beer that tasted like nothing but my own damn piece. That's it. No revenge. No plot twist. Just me still here, still breathing, and a woman out there trying to cast her next co-star. So yeah, that's how it ended. Not with a fight, not with closure. Just you're trying to rewrite the story one last time, and me finally not playing along. I don't miss her. I don't stalk her Instagram. I don't care who she's with or what sad playlist she's pretending to cry to. I just stopped. Mentally unsubscribed. And no, I didn't grow from this. I didn't learn to love myself or whatever people put on tote bags these days. I'm just tired. I lost years to someone who saw me as a prop. That's not character development, that's burnout. But hey, at least now when someone says, tell me about your ex, I get to say, you got a minute? You're gonna need snacks.